Well, today is the Veterans Day edition of PBR with Nate. As a matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and do this. For all those who have served, for all those who are serving, for all those who are waiting to serve, this is for you. May God bless you. May His face shine upon you. And may you always be safe. Thank you for everything that you've done. Okay, so Veterans Day. I myself am a veteran. Served in the 2nd Battalion, 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment. 2 Panther, the 82nd Airborne Division, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Infantryman, bullet stopper, wind dummy, whatever the hell you want to call me. There's those in the 101st Airborne that call us, with the AA pass, that call us the Alcoholics Anonymous, which is possibly earned. But we call them the 1-0 worst, or the puking buzzards, or puking chickens, either one. So, it's neither here nor there. As a matter of fact, a lot of my friends, most of my friends happen to be jarheads. So, go figure. Go figure. But anyway, today is the day that we honor veterans, not the ones who have passed. We have that for Memorial Day. But we honor veterans, the ones who are alive, and the ones who not only have served and have lived, but the ones who are currently serving and are living. We owe a massive debt of gratitude to those, just as much in a debt of gratitude that we owe the ones who have passed on. I didn't deploy to any kind of foreign war. I never fired a shot in anger. As far as my country is concerned, we did deploy to some places that, whatever. But I'm not Afghanistan. I'm not Iraq. I'm not Somalia. I'm not Bosnia. I'm not any of those. For the most part, I was in the rear. Even though infantry jumped out of airplanes, but that's where I was. I stayed at Fort Bragg. Looking back on it now, thank God for it. I know there's those young kids and stuff like that that's like, I just can't, excuse my language, but this is the language we used. I just can't wait to get in the shit. I want to get in the shit. Yeah, you say that till, a 7.62 millimeter round goes past your ear, fired from a Chinese-made AK-47 by a 14-year-old kid in Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever you may be. They fire indiscriminately, or you just pull up on some kind of dirty IED and blow your freaking leg off. So, you might want to think about that, young man, before you start screaming about it. I want to get into it. I want to get into it. I wanted to get into it too. And now that I've gotten older, I thank God that I didn't. There's plenty of men and women out there that weren't as fortunate. They're living without arms or legs or eyes or, whatever, or they're just flipping dead. So you might want to think about that, young man or woman. However, I digress. I'm very proud of the time that I spent. Wish I could have spent more. I want to tell you a little story about what happens to, you talk about folks that serve peacetime. They don't see any danger. And I'm purposely not going to tell you the dates or times that this happened because I want people to look this up and see it for themselves. I really do. I want you to actually look this up. When I served my time at Fort Bragg in the 82nd Airborne Division, that's what we did. We jumped out of airplanes for a living. That was us. Airborne. All the way. And we loved it. Although now my knees and my back don't love what I did, but back then we loved it. Because we were a group unto ourselves. We volunteered for that. There's not a whole lot of people that can say that they threw themselves out of a perfectly good airplane for no apparent reason other than to just get to the battlefield hell of a lot quicker. I mean, why would you want to do that? But we did. That's what we did. Everybody else is a freaking leg. I could have used a different F word, which we did back in the day. But everybody else is a freaking leg, so don't talk to me. Anyway, so I digress. I get back to the story. And before I get into it, because the story this is a tough one. I really hadn't been in all that long. And we had an Air Force base that was connected to us. Obviously, we needed one because we needed airplanes to jump out of. Well, one night, now I'll say this, it was mid-90s. I'll give you that, so you'll have a reference point. I want y'all to look this up. One night in the mid-90s, because we never jumped in the daytime, it was always at night. It had to be, we had to have the dark side of the moon shining on us. We had to be able to absolutely not see anything when we jumped out of airplanes. That was like a prerequisite. Anyway, regardless. So one night, mid-90s, there's a unit out there preparing. They're going through their pre-jump routine. They've already done practice PLFs, yada, yada, yada. Now they've all geared up. They've got their chutes on. They've got their rucks in front of them. They've got the weapons under their shoulders. They've geared up, and they're just kind of laid back, waiting to climb up on the birds, which I think it was either 4 or 5 C-141s, which are a little bit longer and skinnier than the C-130s, but they're jets. So we had 4 or 5 C-141s staged on the tarmac, waiting to receive jumpers, or packs is what we call them. They've already been through the pre-jump. They're just sitting there waiting, which, everything in the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, whatever, is always hurry up and wait. Now, mind you, this is just a training jump. We did these all the time. They're freaking routine. We climb, we do our pre-jump, we get our shit on, we sit, we wait, and then we climb on the bird. The bird flies for about 30 minutes. We go over Sicily Drop Zone or Normandy or whatever else, and we jump and then hit the ground, and then we meet at a rally point, and we're either trucked back away or we ruck march all the way back to our unit, depending on what the training exercise was. Or we conduct mock battles with, it could be any number of things. Regardless, this is just straight up training. A normal day for a United States paratrooper. Sitting out there, he's probably cold. probably shivering a little bit. Most of them, and I can attest to this for a fact, most of them can sleep standing up, or when you get all your gear on and you rest back on that, you rest back on your chute with your ruck on you, you rest back on there on the ground, you go to sleep there. You sleep when you can. So most of them are probably sleeping on the ground, just waiting to load up on the birds. Well, this particular night, there was also, this is at Pope Air Force Base. Pope Air Force Base is the Air Force Base that's connected to Fort Bragg. This particular night, there was also training missions for some fighter jets, F-16s. Well, something happens to this Air Force guy. He's flying his F-16, and he loses control of his aircraft. When he loses control of his aircraft, he does his best. He does what any soldier, Marine, airman, it always makes me laugh when I say this, seaman would do. He does his best. He gives everything he can to make sure that he doesn't hurt anybody because he knows he's about to lose that aircraft. Well, what happens is that when he finally, thinking that he's okay, and he finally bails out of the aircraft, it crashes. And part of the aircraft, and I think it was the cockpit, the aircraft just blew apart on impact. And I think it was the cockpit that comes and slices about 2 or 3 of those running C-141s in two, causing those to explode with very close proximity a large number of men waiting to just go and jump, get it over with, get the jump in, get back in the sack so they can get some rest tomorrow morning because they won't have to get up early for early PT because they're jumping that night. And they're happy about that because they get to sleep in. Several were taken from this earth. Several were burned and maimed beyond recognition because I don't know if you've ever seen jet fuel and oil set on fire, but that stuff sticks. It sticks hard and it burns you beyond belief. So these people suffered in a massive way. And you think about this. During a training exercise, a routine jump, you have to go and pick your buddy's burned body up off the ground or grab a boot with his foot still in it. So yeah, just because nobody deploys, they see it's always dangerous. And they do this training to defend all of us. So I want you to look that up. I gave you mid-90s, Pope Air Force Base, 82nd Airborne Division. F-16 crashes into a bunch of C-141s and a bunch of paratroopers die and get burned up. Look it up. That's what happens. It's not just Afghanistan. It's not just Iraq. It's not just Vietnam. It's not just World War II. It's not just any of those things. Every day, training. It could happen. These men and women, they didn't know they were going to die that night. But they did. I seen some of the folks after the fact, after they went through all the treatments and everything, walk around with no ears. I mean, no ears. Half of their face looking like Freddy Krueger. Still serving proudly. So, so just remember that. This is what they face each and every day. You know, show a little love. Show something. Show a little respect. Show something. You know, I mean, look. I gotta be honest with you. I was looking for a free lunch today. I got 50% off at Subway. I was happy about that. I didn't think I was entitled to that, but I took it. You know why? Because they put forth the effort that's what they were going to do. So I showed my appreciation for them doing what they did. I appreciate that. As a veteran, I appreciate somebody recognizing the service. When somebody tells me thank you for my service, I say thank you back. I don't say you're welcome. I say thank you back. Because it was my honor and my privilege to serve this great country. And I think I could have done a lot better at that. And there's plenty out there that are still doing it. So I always make it a point to say, when somebody says thank you for your service, I say thank you. So I appreciated what they did. Now, I wish I could have got something for free. However, did not. Nonetheless, I wish Golden Corral would have been doing it at lunch. Oh my God, I wouldn't have been worth a crap when I went back to work. I wouldn't have been able to do nothing. If Golden Corral was doing lunch, oh my God, it would have been over. It would have been over. I just had to go on home after lunch. But unfortunately, they're just doing dinner. But I digress. Not only is it Veterans Day, but it is also the 11th month, the 11th day, the 11th hour, whatever you want to call it. If you want to know why veterans use poppies, look it up. It has to do with Flanders Fields, World War I. But today was also the day we signed the armistice of World War I. The 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month. Of a war that was brutal. Extremely brutal. They expected it only to last a couple of weeks, but it lasted years and cost, I don't know how many thousands of men their lives. Between Europe and the U.S. and everywhere else. So, yeah. I guess my point is today is that not trying to be political, not trying to be anything else, but I am being pro-veteran, pro-military. Just because somebody never went to the theater of war, never fired a shot, was never fired upon, or anything else, doesn't mean that they didn't put their lives on the line. I'm going to tell you something. Every time I threw my body out of a freaking airplane, you don't think that was putting my life on the fucking line for you? Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said I was never going to do that. But it was. We did that. That's something special that we did that a lot of other people didn't do. I thank God for the opportunity to do it. I thank God for my grandfather. He was a quartermaster. World War I, occupied Japan. In the Marine Corps. I thank God for my stepdad, who did his time in Vietnam in the Marine Corps, and who still has to deal with it today. I thank God that this young man that I've somewhat taken under my wing, that is serving in the Marine Corps Reserves now and doing, as far as I'm concerned, a very, very noble job. One of the noblest you could ever do. I won't say what it is, but as far as I'm concerned, it's the noblest you could ever do. I'm thankful for the opportunity that I had. And if given the opportunity, I would do it again. I might be old, I might be decrepit, but I can pull a trigger. Anyway, regardless, thank you to all of those of you who have served. Thanks to each and every one of you for the sacrifices that you made, for being away from your family, from getting shot at, from getting blown up, to whatever. Like I said, even serving peacetime and never going anywhere. You still make a conscious effort to say, when the shit hits a fan, I'm going to be the one to switch the fan off. Thank you to each and every one of you. And I say Happy Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to you all. And there again, this, whether you like it or you don't, this is all for you. Every day, I have the freedom to enjoy this at my bar, outside my house. I don't have anybody telling me, no, you can't do that. And it's all for you. For you, for you, for you. Who said, I'm going to be the one to stand in the gap. Thank you so much, everybody. Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, National Guard, Reserves, all of you. Every one of you deserves all of my love and all of my thanks. And shit, tell me you're a veteran, I'll buy you a beer. Love you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you for everything that you have done. Airborne all the way, hoo-ah. And just so I don't forget my Marine Corps friends, because yesterday was your birthday, jarheads. Semper Fidelis. Love you. See ya. Rangers lead the way.